In the football career mode genre, there are two big heavyweights. You have FIFA, which I'm sure the majority of people watching this video will know all about, but you also have the slightly more complicated Football Manager. Today we'll be looking at 10 of the best Football Manager features that really should be added to FIFA, and hopefully you'll learn a bit more about Football Manager and learn about some features that could improve the game and make FIFA a lot more fun. We'll be starting with the youth intake, and this is very different to how it works on FIFA. On FIFA, of course, you send out a scout, you get about 10 players back a month, and you can sign the ones that you want. On Football Manager, the youth intake day is a set day every single year where your team gets a full squad of new young players. You don't have to sign all of them. In fact, most of the time you'll probably be signing about 5 or 6 of them at most. Of course, the quality depends on how much you invest, but I think this is done in a better way. The cost of your youth academy is ongoing, so you pay it monthly throughout the entire season. Not just a one-off cost to hire a youth scout for millions of pounds, it's just a much better way of doing the youth intake in my opinion. Another thing that I really think FIFA should add is the ability to start unemployed. So on Football Manager, you can start out by managing any team or by not managing a team at all. You get jobs by completing interviews or promising certain objectives to put you ahead of other managers that the AI has applied for that job. It adds some real randomness to the save, and some of my favourite saves ever were with teams that took a big chance on hiring me when I started out with no coaching badges, and then I worked my way up from the Estonian 5th Division or from the Ethiopian Premier League. These are just really fun saves and something you can't really do on FIFA. Speaking about employment, have you ever noticed how many managers actually change jobs every single season? Well, of course, this feature is totally missing on FIFA, and it would be absolutely amazing if it could be added. With teams changing their styles each season depending on which manager's in charge, it really can make a difference. They could sign better players, they could use the right tactics, or maybe they'd feature the youth academy heavier, or maybe they'd go for big name players. The managers having a personality and the managers changing jobs is something that really could be better on FIFA. Of course, it could also be better on Football Manager. It can be really silly at times. You get Klopp going to Man City and Pep Liverpool, so it's definitely not perfect, but it would be a big improvement if sort of teams did change as your team can throughout an entire career mode. Now, going on to adjustable transfer budgets, I'm not talking about the sliders that were in old FIFA, but at the start of every season, you get to pick what kind of objectives you'll go for, and your budget will adjust related to these objectives. You can pick a hard challenge, you'll get a big budget if you say you're going to win the Premier League as Nottingham Forest, or you can play it safe and say you're not going to get relegated while managing Man City. You won't get much budget, but you're less likely to get sacked. I think a good way of adding this to FIFA could be something like having the objectives have a certain amount of transfer budget assigned to them. So at the start of the season, you pick which ones you want to do. This will sort of eliminate that whole sign 5 Asian players while you're in League 2 sort of objective that you can receive. Instead, you can pick the ones you want to do. You can decide how hard you want your save to be, and you can decide how much budget you want or need to revamp your team. So if you get promoted from League 1 to the Championship, you need a big rebuild. You could say you're going to finish mid-table, even if you're not sure you can. You'll use the extra transfer budget to actually improve your team more, and who knows, you might actually avoid getting sacked. Another thing you can do on Football Manager is actually leave clubs when your contract ends. This of course applies for both player career mode and manager career mode, because on both of them, you'll just keep eventually going on and on. You can never become a free agent who's not actually in charge of a club. We're given endless contracts on FIFAs, you get the yearly review of course, but it would be a really good way to leave the club. Let's say you're bored of managing your current team, just let your contract expire and start interviewing for jobs during the summer. You might not get a full transfer window or a pre-season, but it's a bit more realistic to what actually happens with managers when they do decide maybe they're bored of managing a certain team. One really important thing that I think FIFA could add is how easy Football Manager is to mod. For example, if you wanted to manage in a certain league, so I mentioned earlier Estonia and Ethiopia, neither of these leagues are of course on Football Manager. Modders from Football Manager's community in the forums have added like every single league you can imagine. You can play in Jamaica, you can play in North Korea, you can play in Fiji. It doesn't matter where the league is, someone's probably made it for Football Manager 23. If we compare this to the FIFA community and the modding here, while it's a lot harder to make a league on FIFA, you also see very few extra leagues being made. Over on my Discord, the only real mods that I've seen people using is for the Greek 1st Division, the German 4th Division, and possibly the National League in England, the 5th Division, whereas on Football Manager we have hundreds of different leagues you can choose, so you just have to sort of wait 2 or 3 weeks after release and you can play anywhere you want. Another thing that's really cool on Football Manager is if you sell out a stadium for long enough, you actually can get a new stadium. The stadium relocation gives you a unique model. Each stand has about 20 different variations, if I remember from looking through the editor a few years ago, and these depend on what size stand that you have. This means if you play at really small grounds, you'll have really small stadiums. I think the smallest stadium on FIFA is about 3,500 seats, and that was added to FIFA 23, whereas on Football Manager you can have standless stadiums, which is a bit more realistic if you are playing at a tiny league. Of course, if you're a legend on Football Manager as well, you can actually get the stadium named after yourself, or if you've got a legendary player who you love throughout your career mode, it might be named after them as well. So how cool would that be for your FIFA career mode save? Player personalities would add another layer of realism to the game. Some players can be more professional, develop faster, while others will be angry and disrupt everything that you have going for you. Ambitious players might want to leave for better clubs, while loyal ones will stay through anything, even relegations. This feature could make it more challenging to manage your team and maybe create a bit more of a unique experience on career mode. I think it's one of the most underrated parts of Football Manager, trying to create a team that has the right personality, the right ethos, maybe a really highly professional team or determined team, or even a team that has huge amounts of flair and work rate. You can do anything, and it's all done through the player personality screen. So a really important thing that I really do think is missing from FIFA, because every single player has a personality. You've got Balotellis, you've got your Ronaldos, you've got your Messi and Mbappes. They're all totally different, but on FIFA, they're all basically the same guy with a different face. The history view for stats and transfers is another thing that would be super cool on FIFA. You can see a player's former clubs, how many goals, assists, appearances, their transfer fees. This would make it really easy to track your team's progress, or how much a player's cost throughout their career, or maybe even let you figure out how Lionel Messi and Gianluigi Buffon ended up with Macclesfield in the 5th division. FIFA is crazy for stuff like this, and it's really hard to keep track. So adding this one feature, just slide across in the squad hub, history view, and you can see where this player's been and their past stats. Finally, related to the transfers part of this last screen, transfer clauses would actually make the market a bit more dynamic. Adding a sell-on clause was a good start. It was added a few seasons ago now, but there's still so many different clauses you hear about that are missing from FIFA. For example, a transfer fee could increase if you're not relegated. You could have a Ballon d'Or clause like the one Martial has with Man United, where they have to pay Monaco £10 million if Martial ever wins the Ballon d'Or. You could even pay to have a fee per goal scored up to like a limit of 50 goals. This feature would add another layer of strategy where you have to sort of balance your finances as well as the players on the pitch and your youth academy, and I think that's something that the game mode really is missing. A bit of strategy, a bit of long-term thinking that's needed, and a bit more depth. So if they added even 2 or 3 of these for EA Sports FC, I would be a very happy career mode fan. Let me know what your favorite feature you wish was in career mode is in the comments below. If you want to help out the channel, make sure you like a video and check out the 2 videos I've got on screen right now. Subscribe if you want to see more stuff for EA Sports FC, but thank you all for watching. I'll see you soon. Have a good weekend. Cheers and goodbye.